Creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to steal my lady. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound, the clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around 2,000 later.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Okay, today is Monday. We're starting off the weekly reading vlog on an actual Monday instead of a Friday. Cosmo, would you like to come here? No, he just wants to smell all the stuff on my desk. And anyway, so if you watched last week's reading vlog, you probably noticed that I was not loving any of the books that I read that week. Like, literally, I don't think I had a single book last week that I read that I was like, oh, that was great. That was a good one. No, I didn't. So something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I just haven't had the chance, is to just pick up one of the many mass market historical romances that I have and just read it. And I think the main reason that I haven't, I know that probably sounds silly, but the main reason that I haven't is most of the books that I read are audiobooks. Like, probably 90% of the books that I read are audiobooks. And then if I usually do have a Kindle book that I'm reading at night when everyone else is asleep and it's dark. And so I don't want to read a paperback and turn a light on, you know? So I've just been dying to do that because I have so many historicals here that I just really want to do. So yesterday I finished the last book I had read kind of early, and it was Sunday, which is my day off from work, and I just took the whole day to read. Oh my gosh, this hair in my face. And so I just grabbed a few books from my shelf, and I decided to go with this one because it just, I don't know, I read the back of it and I'm like, that sounds good. Yeah, I think I'll read this one. And I've never read a Jennifer Mcquisten before. So this is Jennifer Mcquisten, The Perks of Loving a Scoundrel. This is actually the third book in this series. I thought it was the first because I just, you know, I opened it up as you do to see, maybe it will tell me in here. No, it has this book listed as first, but I have realized that they will often do that with the newest release. So anyway, I'm a little bummed about that, but I'm still going to go back and read the other two, probably, but I'm not mad about it because I don't feel like you really needed to read those in order to pick this one up. Anyway, I am this far into it. I'm on chapter 12. This is how much I physically read yesterday. Loved it, honestly, just really, really enjoying this. I really like her writing style. I think that she's an excellent storyteller. I think she's developing the characters really, really well. This is basically about our heroine, who is a very bookish heroine. She's almost on the shelf. She's never had a season, technically. She had some tragic deaths happen in her family's life, and so she kind of is also a little bit shy and socially awkward, so she didn't really want to have a season, although she does want to marry. And her sister has already been married and lives in London, and she's in the last stages of her pregnancy. She's all alone, and she asked her sister, our heroine, Mary, to come and stay with her in the last stages of her confinement. And so Mary does, very reluctantly, because she would much prefer to stay at home and read, and she is a little nervous about the hustle and bustle of London. Mary comes from a family that is titled, and she is a very, very much a lady, you know, she's very much the top of the aristocracy type of lady. So this had a really interesting opening scene where she meets the hero. She's at her sister's house, she wakes up early, and she thinks she's going to take a book into the garden and go read. It's going to be super fun, and she's going to have a great time doing what she loves in this beautiful garden. And so she goes out there, and the garden, like, bridges the streets of London, and she sees this man man out there who she's like, oh, he's handsome. And then she notices that he's literally peeing on the rose bushes, and that is how our hero and heroine meet. And our hero is definitely a scoundrel, like a complete scoundrel. He was in the war. He had some very traumatic things happen to him in the war, and he is home now. He is the last son of either an earl. I think his father is an earl, and his name is Geoffrey, and he is not wanting to live up to his family's expectations, and so he basically sleeps all day, gambles and drinks and carouses with women all night. And so when she meets him, it is from a night of drunken revelry, and they have quite a bit of verbal sparring. It's very, very fun. And then they end up meeting later on when our heroine is invited to a party, like a fundraiser party where like the upper echelon of society will be. And her sister really tries to get her to go to hopefully meet a future potential husband. And the way she gets her to go is to say, well, your favorite authoress is going to be there. Oh, and Charles Dickens is going to be there. And so, of course, she goes. She goes and she runs. She ends up getting very fancy in this beautiful gown and looks absolutely beautiful. She tends to prefer, like, drab clothes at home. That's how she's described. And she runs into none other than Geoffrey, who is extremely smitten with her. Our heroine leaves the party because she kind of has this moment of overwhelm with her social awkwardness, so she runs out of the room and heads into the library. Geoffrey follows her, and they end up overhearing a plot to assassinate someone in, like, they're not sure who it is yet. Maybe it's the Prime Minister, maybe it's the Queen. And so these two are the only ones who know about this plot that's going to be happening, but nobody believes that they overheard this direct plan to assassinate somebody. While they're in that room, they're not discovered by the people who are plotting the assassination, but they do end up having a pretty passionate moment, and they are caught by someone else, and thus she is ruined. So this book is just very, very fun. Like, I really love the plot. I really love the setup. I really love the characters. I'm honestly very impressed with this. I think that it's just a really fun, quick read, and I was very easily sucked into it, and I'm honestly so happy with this, and I hope that it carries through the rest of the way. I did check to see if the audiobook was on any play, and it is, and as much as I would dearly love to just sit and do nothing and read this, I have got to work today. So this is going to be my audiobook companion for the day, and I'm very excited about it, and I feel very happy about that because I didn't love any of the books I read last week. I know I already said that, but I'm happy to be loving one. I'm happy to be reading a new, to me, historical romance author, and I'm crossing my fingers that this is a new favorite. So, yeah. That's what I'm reading. I'll update y'all when I have finished this or when I have more to share.
You know, round this long night will fade away.
Well, I was correct. They were cleaned out on clay, but I did find this really cool black Stonehenge paper. You can use pencil, watercolors. I'm excited about that. And then I got some lighter colored Prismacolors, which are my favorite sketching pencils. And then the red and purple are just my regular preferred sketching colors that I like. And I don't know where to put these. Where should I put these? There's not a free jar. Apparently I didn't need to get extra pencils, but I did anyway. This was a clay order I got yesterday. There are a few colors I've been struggling to find, so I just thought I would check Michael's. And then I refilled on my favorite watercolor paper. I'd love to do some more watercolor paintings if I have some time. So, this has been a busy day. Kazi had a haircut yesterday, and then he went to go see the vet today for his good boy checkup, For his good boy checkup, And they said, I'm a good boy. I'm all healthy, Mom.
It's for us to hide, two perfect strangers in disguise. Back to the sharp grin of everyday life, wearing a almost cold as ice.
Hi friends, welcome back. We're in the same place, we're in the same room, but different. I angled the camera a different way because, like, I don't know, maybe you want a different view, maybe you don't care. It's just so easy to put you on my desk and just talk to you. I know the lighting's all set up good and the background and... Anyway, today is Wednesday. I did not update you yesterday. Yesterday I went to the gym because I wanted to try and see if I could train after being sick and then having that little relapse I talked about in my last vlog. And so I went to the gym and it was awful. Like, I couldn't breathe. I started, like, having to feel like I just had to cough, and so, like, I left because I didn't want to be coughing at the gym, obviously. And, like, that's the thing, like, I have, like, a cough that's lingered, but I don't have any symptoms, and my COVID test was negative, for those of you who are asking me. So I called my doctor, and he said that he thinks that I have, like, asthmatic bronchitis, and so he gave me a ton of breathing treatments and prescriptions to be on to help sort that out. So yesterday I was really feeling sorry for myself because I love training at the gym. I love lifting. It's a huge part of my life. It's something that means a lot to me, and I really sort of pride myself on being strong and fit. And so I don't want this to sound, like, super shallow, but also, like, this is a huge part of my life. Like, it kind of devastated me that I literally could not train yesterday without having to stop and catch my breath. Like, it was scary to also feel like you couldn't breathe. Like, I've never had asthma before, I've never had any lung troubles before, so anyway, yesterday I just pretty much felt sorry for myself all day, and I also just didn't feel good, so no update. Anyway, I have medicine now, so hopefully everything will be good and fine, and you will not have to hear me talk about this again, but it's just been a really weird situation, and in a lot of ways, I wish that I had gotten, like, an official diagnosis for COVID, because my doctor was like, it was probably a false negative. He's like, I don't know that the test that you got was very reliable, and so I'm like, it would just make me feel better if I at least had that diagnosis and know that I had it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's being on the other side of it, potentially, so I still don't know what it was. Okay, let's talk about books. So anyway, I finished The Perks of Loving a Scoundrel by Jennifer Mcquisten, and I honestly was thinking as I was reading this, I was like, this is probably going to be a 4-star. I'm really liking this. This is a solid read, but, like, as I kept reading it, I just kept feeling like this is just such a good story. Like, this book has a lot of the hallmarks of what I liked about Elizabeth Hoyt's books, in that it tells a really great story with a nice, mysterious plot and also some action elements, but it also very convincingly and very adeptly tells a full romance story, too. And I feel like a lot of times my complaints with that is when it either leans, like, they set up a plot, but they don't ever finish it, and it just all follows through on the romance, which, I mean, you know, that's never a real complaint with me if the romance is compelling enough. Or they set up this really kind of bonkers plot, but it takes over the romance, and then the romance kind of is overshadowed. And this was something that I really liked about Elisa Braden's books, too, that she does a great job of telling just a really convincing, mysterious, action-packed plot and having a great deal of romance. So this was fantastic. I loved this book. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I was very, very impressed with her storytelling abilities, and like I said, like, I was just so impressed with how she balanced that perfect blend of plot, mystery, and romance, because I feel like that's such a hard thing to pull off that balance for me, and it was just done so well here. I loved this book. I can't wait to read more from her. I'm so happy that I just, on a whim, picked this up because I just freaking loved this book. I loved it so much. There were so many moments in here where the hero is just so completely attracted to the heroine, even though she's, like, the type of girl that he would like overlook. She's kind of a bit of a wallflower, but then when he starts to fall for her, he sees how beautiful she is, and I love that trope so much. When he, against like his better judgment, he's like, I can't stop looking at you. You are beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, there were so many like swoony moments in here. I just loved it so much. This was fantastic. I am so happy that I read her. I'd heard her name around, but I would say that she's very underhyped for me. So I went into this with like pretty much no expectations, probably low expectations. And so I was so pleasantly surprised that she exceeded them, and I really, really loved this. This was honestly, I feel like this is a perfect book for me. It just had everything that I wanted, a really well-developed, really clever plot, great banter and interactions between the hero and heroine. Like, this is a heroine who uses her mind, who is very intelligent, and the hero is not only physically attracted to her, but he's also really attracted to her mind and her intelligence, and I just loved it to death. I loved it so much. So this was fantastic. Highly recommend it. It doesn't have very many reviews on Goodreads, and it's not talked about. I've never heard anyone specifically talk about this book. I've heard her name, like I said, but I don't see a lot of people reading her, and I feel like that's kind of a shame. So I'm hoping to read more from her and really, really get a lot of her books that I feel the same way about. So loved this one. So since I picked up that book and it was a historical romance author who was new to me, I thought that I would continue on with that trend and just see how many I can fit into this vlog of historical romance authors that are new to me. So the next book that I picked up is a very famous author, and I have a ton of her books, and she is very well loved. I love following her online, but I have not read her, and one of the main reasons is that she is so hyped and so well loved, and I was very worried that it wouldn't live up to the hype. But I picked up When Beauty Tempts the Beast by Eloisa James. This is my first Eloisa James book, and this is part of her fairy tale series. I'm almost finished with it, and I have to say, I absolutely love this. I can see why she is so popular. I can see why she is so well loved. She is honestly just a complete delight to read. I feel like she has some aspects of Julia Quinn, where she has some really good banter, some really fun, engaging stories, almost like Tessa Dare, but also I would say like elevated over Tessa Dare. I would say that she's Tessa Dare, Julia Quinn, but elevated. That's how I feel about her. Like, I just really, really loved her. She has all of the qualities of those writers that I love, but on another level, because she also has she has great banter, but it's the type of banter that is very like clever. It's very like witty. It's not necessarily like in your face. Like, there's nothing in here about the humor that is obvious. There's nothing in here that is like set up for humor. It's just these little clever lines, and I'm just like, oh, I love that. You know, like, that's my favorite type of humor. So I'm really loving that. The dialogue in here is great. This, of course, is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is our heroine, Lynette, who has a really interesting situation. She has a very beautiful figure. Like, she's full-chested. She has just this extremely appealing, sensuous figure. She ends up wearing this dress to a ball one night that sort of makes her look pregnant, makes her breasts, like, huge and on display. And because of that, she ends up getting a reputation for being pregnant and therefore gets ruined. And so her family, her father, pairs her up to be engaged to the son of a duke, because this son of the duke cannot have children. Like, he's impotent. He cannot perform. And so they think that this will be a great reason for the dukedom to get passed down, because she's pregnant. We'll just say it's his kid. And I'm just like, it's kind of a bonkers setup, but it's bonkers in a way that seems like purely, absolutely plausible for that time period. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, this is just bonkers enough that I could totally see this happening, you know? Like, and it really highlights, I think, how these young women's futures were really out of their control, where you could do everything right, but something as little as where you were at a certain time or what you were wearing could determine your entire future. So she ends up shipped off to this man who she is going to be engaged to, and he is a scarred hero. He has a limp, and she is under the impression that he cannot perform sexually. And so they initially have a really great connection, but also a little bit of, not really rivalry, but a little bit of an antagonistic connection. And they have that great banter. And so again, this is another case of a really smart heroine. She loves to read like Belle. And he is very drawn to her intelligence and some of the comments that she makes. And he sees not only her beauty, but he's also very impressed with her mind. And he's also the type of man that loves when she, like, gives him crap for when he says stuff. And I just love that so much. And there was this moment in here, an intimate scene, when she's self-conscious of her full chest. Like, she's had comments made to her whole life by her family. They call her a dairy cow, basically. And there's a moment when she is undressed by him, the hero, and she's so self-conscious of her full chest, and she's like, is it gross? Like, do you hate it? And he's like, you are any man's dream. And she says, but am I your dream? And he says, I would never even think I could dream for someone like you. And I was just like, oh, I just love it so much. So this book is completely delightful. It's so fun. It's so engaging. I'm just loving it. And I knew I was going to love her. It was one of those times where I'm like, I know I'm going to love her books. I know she is very well loved. I know a lot of people talk about her books. I'll get to her eventually, but I finally decided now is the time to read her. Jesson, from Jesson Reads Romance, she was like, you need to read this book, you're gonna love it, just recently, and so that was another reason why I picked it up. And yeah, I'm loving it so much, so I'm almost done with it. I fully expect this to be a 5-star read, and then I'm not sure what I'll pick up next. Actually, let me see, let me look on my shelf real quick. Okay, so something that I would like to do is read, I mean, I've talked about this in the beginning of this video. I want to read more of the historicals that are just sitting on my shelves that maybe, like, I don't have the audio saved anywhere, but I just want to read them, because a lot of times how I choose my books, it's really based on, do I have access to this audiobook, you know? So I picked this book up. This book was sent to me by Esty. It actually is signed from the author to Esty, so the fact that Esty parted with this makes me hope that this wasn't a terrible book. But I want to get through this. This book kind of intrigued me. I think the cover is pretty beautiful, to be quite honest. Beautiful and intriguing. I really, really like it. So this book is basically about a lady. She was an innocent in a foreign land, and she met Gabriel, who was a young naval officer. They met, played with fire. That's what it says on the back. Now Gabriel is the Dark Lord, known to society as the Devil's Duke, a notorious recluse who lives in the Highlands. Only Lady Amarantha knows the truth about him, and she won't be intimidated. He is the one man who can give her the answers she needs, but Gabriel cannot let her learn his darkest secret. So this book really intrigues me, and I was looking through my paperbacks, and I saw this one, and I was like, I wonder if there's an audiobook for this. So I looked on AnyPlay, and there is. So I think as soon as I finish this one, I'm gonna dive into this one, and here's hoping that I really like it. Anyway, I'm having a blast reading historicals. I'm back in my happy place, and yeah, these are just, I've had the best reading week, and I'm just so incredibly happy about it. So let's hope that it continues with this one, and I'll check in with y'all in a bit. Hello friends, welcome back to another vlog update. Okay, today is Friday. I have kind of been like vlogging every other day. I'm honestly trying to do better about vlogs, like including more of my life and moving, and yet here I am. in the same spot where I always am. It's just the most comfortable spot for me, okay? Hi, Kazi. Hi. Would you like to see Mr. Kazi? Would you like to see his haircut? Cosmo, come here. Say hi, friends. Say hi, friends. This is me. I got a haircut and I went to the vet and they said I was so good and I was so handsome. Anyway, here's Kazi. He's happy to be here. Kinda. So, also I want to show you my stickers that I finally put on my mug. Oh no, Kazi, what are you doing? Let's see if it will show. So this one that says, "Hello, Feyre, darling," and "I love dirty fairy tales." These are from Brie, which I love so much. This little horsefish is made by my friend, Bryn. She owns Gummy Pony. You can find her on Instagram. And this little pink carousel pony is one of my favorites. This is made by my other friend, Candace, and I love it. And then, look at my pièce de résistance. I'm so sorry for that terrible French accent and pronunciation. My Arthur sticker that says library card. I finally stuck it on a mug. I put it right here. And Kazi would like to go play. So, I have several drinks on my work desk right now as I'm sculpting. And let's talk about some books, okay? Kazi, what? Okay. Alright, so last time I told you I was almost finished with When Beauty Tamed the Beast. I keep wanting to call this When Beauty Tempts the Beast. I don't know why. When Beauty Tamed the Beast by Eloisa James, and I predicted this would be a 5-star, and I was completely right. This book was beautiful. This book was fantastic. It was a 5-star read. This was such a fun, immersive read. Like, it was very easy to get sucked into. I really loved the characters. I felt like the characters were so well developed. They had a lot of great nuance into their personalities, into their growth, into their character arc. I loved their relationship. I loved their banter, and I feel like this is a banter that is really an elevated sort of banter in that it relies on wit of both of the characters and their own cleverness. Like, they're not just like being sassy pants, although they are being sassy pants, but they're also like layering it with this level of intelligence that is a draw for why they're attracted to each other, and I just loved that so much. I loved the final conflict in here and how that brought them together ultimately. I loved the whole story of Beauty and the Beast in here, how it was kind of familiar but also not. Like, I just felt like it was just so beautifully done. I really loved the steamy scenes in here too, and I loved how they progressed the relationship forward. I really loved how it wasn't just steam for the sake of steam. Like, it was completely providing an arc of their relationship. It was really detailing how these two were going to fall in love, and it was evidence of how they fell in love, and I just adored that so much. I really, really loved this book. It was fantastic. It's recommended often for a reason. I know Eloisa James herself on TikTok has recommended, if you're new to her book, start with this one, and I know Jessin said this is her favorite, and I know that Jen from the Book Refuge loves it too, and it was fantastic. It was fun. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for, if you haven't read this already, and you're looking for a historical that is sweet, romantic, clever, and steamy, and has a really, really unique background plot, I would recommend this for sure. I thought it was perfection. I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. So I read that. And then I think I told you, I can't remember, I haven't edited this vlog up to now. I think I told you that the next book I wanted to pick up was The Duke by Catherine Ashe, and I did end up picking this up. And even though it's been like 2 days, I'm still only this far into it. So I'm on chapter 11, which is 100 pages into it. And initially I had a little bit of mixed feelings about this book, but now I can tell you that I am absolutely loving this book. This book is so good. I'm kind of dying over how good it is. And the thing that I like about this book so much is that it has a lot of subtlety into the relationship, into this world at this time period, into the different characters' motivations, into their backstory. I feel like this is a very layered book. Like, it's not a quick like, I would say this is not like a Tessa Dare book in that it's not kind of, not that her books are all surface level, but it's not the type of book that you pick up, or at least I did, pick up in an afternoon and read it in one sitting, you know? Like, I feel like this book has a little bit of a dense writing style. Like, it feels extremely realistic in the historical dialogue and in the setting, and I feel like she doesn't have overly descriptive descriptions, but she does make sure to like cover all of the bases. Like she definitely covers a lot of the background characters. She describes the setting. She really sets up each interaction with her characters with kind of a lot of time. Like this is not the type of book that is like a wham bam, thank you ma'am. Like no, like this book is very satisfying for me on an emotional level, but also just as a reader who wants a layered, nuanced, rich story. I feel like that is something that you're getting here. And I think that something that I am really enjoying about this is how it doesn't feel at all like they're trying to push it into a modern historical box, you know? There's, and by that I mean there's not anything in here that at this point, that's problematic between the hero and heroine. You know, I feel like a lot of times the old school historicals get a bad rap for being very rapey, which, I mean, for good reason. This book, I think, was written in like 2017. Yeah, so this isn't a very old book. It was written in 2017. But it reads a bit also kind of like a classic, that type of, maybe like a Jane Eyre. I feel like Jane Eyre is one of the more approachable classics as far as the language is pretty easy to get swept away in the story. And I feel like this kind of has, I don't want to compare it to Bronte, but it has that type of a feeling in that it feels richly, deeply entrenched in historical writing style and in the setting and in the time period. But all of that contributes to the romantic relationship between the hero and the heroine, and I just am loving it so much. So let me give you a quick background about what this is. So we have our heroine, who is Lady Amarantha. She is, in the beginning we see her as a young girl, and she dreams of finding a man who's going to love her. She has him in her head, what he's going to look like, how he's going to behave, how they're going to act with one another, and it's basically a romantic fantasy when she's a little girl about how this perfect man is going to love and support her and everything. So her parents arrange a marriage with her to a reverend, and who Amarantha believes him to be the perfect man. She thinks she's going to be super happy with him. And right before they get married, when they're still engaged, they move to Jamaica, where he is going to be a missionary and try to convert the people in Jamaica to Christianity. So that's where it starts. That's where the story starts. And we find Amarantha, she is caught in a building, and there's this big tropical storm that is coming. And so she's trying to figure out how to stay safe and how to stay protected. She's stuck in this building, and in comes a naval officer who is our Duke. The title, the hero, his name is actually Gabriel. I couldn't remember his name for just a minute. Gabriel comes in there. He's a lieutenant in the Navy, and he finds her there. He's trying to also stay safe from the storm. They end up stuck in that building together overnight, and Gabriel believes that this storm is going to be fatal because they're in the basement, and he thinks that they're not going to get out of this alive. They're going to perish tonight. So they basically spend the night together in this room, but all they do is talk. They talk, and there's a scene in here where she ends up leaning against his very broad shoulders and his strong presence, and he reaches for her hand, and he holds her hand through the night, and they just talk through the night. And it kind of had me swooning, not gonna lie. So the next day, they survive the storm, they separate, and they don't see each other again. And Amarantha goes around the town trying to fulfill the role that she believes to be of a good preacher's future wife. You know, like she's trying to make sure everyone's taken care of. She's kind of helping act as a nurse to the doctor to heal up people who were injured. And eventually, she runs into Gabriel again. He comes back to help. And they have a few run-ins with definitely some chemistry between them. And there are a few interactions with Amarantha and her fiancé, and you clearly see that he is not the man for her. And the thing that I think is so compelling about this romance specifically is how one night of conversation, one night of connection with someone who could be a true soulmate changed her perspective on the man she thought was going to be perfect for her. You know, I just loved that so much, because ever since she had that night with Gabriel and how she felt about him and how they connected and the things they talked about, she feels so differently about the man she's supposed to marry. But her sense of duty is so strong that she's convinced she's going to go through with it. So Gabriel and Amarantha, they have like some interactions, you know. And then pretty soon Gabriel gets called away on another voyage, and right before he's about to leave, he finds her, and they have this private discussion, and he's begging her not to marry the Reverend. He says he's not the man for you at all. I've heard you, I've heard him, you're not going to be happy with him. And he says, please wait for me. Wait for me, and I can be that man for you. Wait for me to come back. And so she asks him, promise me you'll come back safely. And he says, okay, I will. And so when he promises her that, he says, but I need something to take with me. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a sex scene, and I'm kind of disappointed because I don't want it to be the obvious choice. You know, I wanted it to be something else. And this book has so much subtle romantic gestures in here. Like, it feels very hand flex Pride and Prejudice. It feels like a period drama. The romance in here, it feels so just slow and beautiful, and I love it so much. And so I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna ask for sex, and I was like, oh, darn it. But he doesn't. He asks her if he can just hold her face in his hand and touch her cheek. And it was one of the most romantic moments in my life, and I died. And it's so beautiful. So eventually he goes on his trip. She agrees to wait for him. There's a ton of romantic tension between them. And pretty soon she hears that his ship was overtaken by bandits and that he was killed. So she marries the Reverend, and there's a time jump. And that is where the story comes back, because rumor comes back again. He wasn't actually killed, but he has this terrible reputation of a man who kidnaps and abducts women and is basically the devil's duke. That's what he's known as. So her husband has passed away, and she is determined to go and find him and see what is happening. So, oh my gosh, I am incredibly impressed with this book. The writing is very good. It's really great. Like I said, there is something about the writing style that makes it feel a little bit dense, but I don't think that it's bogged down with description necessarily. I think it's more that she's giving you a lot of details about the characters that are leading up to every interaction that they're going to have. And so in that way, it's really working for me, but it is definitely more of a book that requires mental energy than like a Tessa Dare does, you know? But it's just fantastic, and I honestly, I'm like, please don't disappoint me, you know? Like, we're so early into it, and this part has been so great that I'm just like, please don't ruin this, or it's like, please be good, because I will be thrilled if I have found another new author that I haven't heard anyone really talking about. This book was given to me by Esty, by the way, and thank you, Esty, for sending me this. I'm very excited to have it, and I have high hopes. I am literally dying hoping that this ends up being a new favorite book of mine, because I would just be thrilled. So anyway, that's an update for you. I'll keep you updated with that as I finish it. Cross your fingers for me that my next update will be like 5 stars, okay? I'll see you all in a bit. I got a bunch of packages, and I'm fairly certain a lot of these are books. So let's unbox them, shall we? Okay, let's do it. Let's see what we got. I'm hoping for, well, I think I know what these are, but let's see. I hope these are good condition, because some of these I bought. I'm so excited about this book because it's stunning. Ah, look at this. The light in here is terrible. I'm sorry. Let's see. Maybe don't. Like, it's, let's see there. Oh my gosh, can you believe the gorgeousness of this? I'm obsessed with that. I'm so happy. This is brand new. Look at that. Look at that spine. Look at that pristine spine. Fantastic. I mean, it even has like yellowed pages on the edge. This has been sitting in there for a while. Nobody wanted this. So either that means it's not great. Hi, sorry, cough break. Or it's going to be just, I don't know. I don't even care. Like, it even feels like velvety. Oh, I've been wanting to read this author for a long time, and I was trying to track down some of her books, and I saw this one, and I was like, yes, we need that one. So I bought another one of hers that just showed up yesterday, and it said it was new, and it was a library edition, and I was so mad. Like, that makes me angry. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Look, so I decided to get the other books in the Jennifer Mcquisten series. Let's see, the light in here is no bueno. No bueno for books. Excellent for my skin. And it has a step back. This one had limited copies, and I'm thrilled that it had a step back. I think this is, I don't know, I think this might be the second book in the series. I actually don't know for sure, but I'm thrilled with that. 2 exquisite editions of historical romances that I've been wanting. Yay! Okay, let's see what else. What's this? Oh, we'll open that last. What the frick is this? Oh, that's fun! We'll unbox that too! I wasn't expecting that. Okay, and these books are some of my favorites. They're ones I've already read. I was kind of waiting to get the the paperback copies. I don't know why, but I finally have them. I have the Highland Magic series, I believe. I read these books. These were both 5-star reads for me. This is the first one. Strong Merida from Braves vibes. I love, 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 love. If you're looking for good Highlander romances, try these out. These were fantastic. And look at this. Look at this cover. Focus on them. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy. These are also like a nice size. I would prefer, like, I like the covers matte better, but I'm not mad about these. These are beautiful. So very excited about these. Excited to add those to my collection. We got some beautiful book mail. Very excited about that. Now, I'm going to show you some clothes that I got. This is one that I'm actually really stoked about. I just ordered this when I saw her release her merch, and it arrived, and I could not be more thrilled to support the one and only Peace Love Books. Eee, look how cute that is! Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I got the purple crew neck because purple reminds me of Jess. Can you see it? Peace Love Books XO. Established 2015. I love this. I got a large because that's my preference for sweatshirts because I want to be cozy. And I love it. I love and adore Jess from Peace Love Books, like I think we probably all do. She's been a great friend to me, and I just love her so much, so I'm super thrilled to have this. Can't wait to wear it and rep my girl. So, and then this last one is actually, I think this is some fitwear. I'm going to show you anyway because we're unboxing everything. This company contacted me and wanted to know if I wanted to try some of their new fitness shirts. They're not like fitness material, it's mostly just like a fitness brand. And these are cropped t-shirts, but they were so cute, I was like, yes, send them my way. Look at this, cropped, adorable. This is by Last Set Co. They're pretty well known fitness people. This is black, the Last Set Co. logo is in pink. And this one is the gray one. Look how cute. And that's also in pink. Last Set Training. I love that because the theory is, I just love knowing like your last set of training is the one where you push the hardest, and I miss training so much. One day my lungs will be better and I will heal. Okay, thank you for watching this little unboxing with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. It is Sunday and I have on my Peace Love Books sweatshirt. I love it. It's so cozy and purple. All right. Well, friends, I finished The Duke, and this was a 5-star read for me. This was probably really close. I think this one might even be a 6-star read for me. I just freaking loved this book so much. This book was just, it was so like sweeping and epic, and it was like it spanned a lot of several years. Like I think it starts in 1817 and then I think the end is like 1823, so that's like 6 years where it spans this time of this couple, and I just felt like it was so romantic. Like it was so romantic. There were some lines in here that Gabriel, the hero, says to Amarantha that are just like heart-stoppingly romantic. Like the whole thing is just based so much on this love that they have for each other. And a lot of it, from all of it, beginning from that one night, that one fateful night that they spent together in the storm, in the basement, holding hands. And that fueled their desire to find each other for 6 years. And I just, like, it's the kind of book, the kind of romance that makes me just like sigh afterwards. Like, I just feel so completely satisfied with the romance in here. And I feel like sometimes I don't always feel like that, you know? Not that every book needs to be grand, epic, sweeping, spanning years, very historical, a little bit adventurous, sensual. But I mean, when I get it, I just adore it. Like, I am incredibly impressed with this writer. I want to read everything that she has written now, honestly. I mean, she is a very powerful writer. I do feel like at times I think she is a little on the overwriting. Not, she kind of hedges into a little bit of flowery, a little bit of overdramatic, so I feel like if I were to be nitpicky and if people weren't jiving with the story, I could see how they would criticize that a little bit. But for me, it just felt like breathlessly romantic, and I just ate it up. I just ate it up with a spoon. I loved this book. I loved it so much. You know, the whole time I was reading this, I just kept thinking, this doesn't feel like a book that was written recently, because this was published in 2017. It feels old, as in like old in the type of way of like a story that is like just sweeping, that is sort of epic, that tells the story of two people over a long period of time. And I personally love that stuff. I love that type of a story so much. Like, and there's an author's note in the end, which was pretty interesting. And she said this, I'm just going to read this to you. A few decades ago, sweeping historical romances were all the rage. As of the writing of this novel, however, Regency historical romances that include dozens of characters, span many years, and take place in multiple unfamiliar locations are far less common. But I was weaned on Dorothy Dunnett and John Jakes, as well as Tolkien and McCaffrey, and occasionally I adore writing big novels as much as I enjoy reading them. So when Amarantha and Gabriel and the women of Callan explained the story they wished me to write for them, despite not inconsiderable anxiety, I bowed to the request. And honestly, like, I love that she included that note in here. Because that is exactly what this feels like to me. It felt, you know, like, I felt like I was trying to describe how it felt a little bit old and a little bit, like, classic. Like, it just feels so distinctly different than the historicals that are being written today. So I feel like if you are really just eating up the historicals that are currently being published, and you want more in that vein, this is not gonna hit for you. But if you want something that is different, something that feels epic and feels a little bit old, but feels also like sweeping and grand and just like lushly described with all of these interesting settings and interesting plot details, and like, I think you would love this. Like, I just adored it. It was fantastic. This is one of the most enjoyable reading experiences I have had in a long time, to the point where I would read it, and I read it physically, and then I would switch to the audio, and then I would go back and read those sections physically, and sometimes I would listen to the audio and read it physically at the same time. Like, I never ever do stuff like that. Like, I feel like sometimes I get in the trap of, okay, I need to read this book, read this book, read this book, so I have books to talk about. And with this one, all I wanted to do was just slow down and just savor this fantastic story. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I mean, and I will say it's not a perfect book at all, but none of my favorite books are perfect books. But this one just really impressed me. I adored it. I loved it. It was so good. I just can't get over it. Like I said, like, I keep coming back, like, that one first night together where they just talked through the storm and held each other's hands. Like, that is literally the fuel for their love for the entire thing. It just, I love how we have these small but very fueled romantic gestures, glances, moments that lead to what feels like a very pure and true romance. And I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I can't wait to read more from this author. I just ate it up. It was so good. Like, Gabriel says this, I'm going to read you one little line that he says to Amarantha when he's trying to explain how he feels about her. He says, if I were buried in a box underground and you walked along the street above, I would know you were near. If I were at the bottom of the sea and you sailed overhead, I would know it was your shadow passing over the sun. For 5.5 years, I've thought only of you. Oh my gosh, I just love it. I love it. I love it. I adored it. It was fantastic. I'm so glad that I read this. Esty, thank you so much for sending me this. This is one of my new favorite books. I was a completely unexpected turn of events in my reading journey, but I loved this book with my whole heart and soul. Like, fantastic. So if you want more of the, like, I would say that there's nothing in the hero's behavior that's problematic in this, like maybe the historicals of decades past are, but it feels like all of the best things about those historicals back. Oh, I loved it so much. So this has been a successful reading week, a bit different than last week's reading vlog, because all 3 of these books were 5 stars. And this, honestly, like, they were all new favorites. Like, I am thrilled. I am thrilled that I found, I mean, I knew I was going to love Eloisa James. That was no surprise. But I'm still so happy that I finally read one of her books and loved and adored it so much. Jennifer Mcquisten was a big surprise for me. I was a little disappointed that she only has 2 series that she's written, and apparently she's not writing anymore. I think, if I'm wrong, you're welcome to correct me below, but I really liked that one. Want to read more from her. Catherine Ashe is now one of my favorite authors on the planet, and I can't wait to read more from her. This was fantastic. I loved it. So, wow. What a great reading week. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I know it's a little bit longer. I had a lot to say, but I also wanted to include more of my life. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. If you think it's too long, I'll try and keep it shorter. Anyway, this was a great reading week. Thanks so much for coming along on this little adventure with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you would like to leave me a bird emoji of some type, maybe like a tropical bird or something, because parts of this book take place in Jamaica. I don't know if there are tropical birds in Jamaica. Anyway, leave me a bird emoji. Thanks so much for watching, my friends. I'll see y'all in my next video.